Hi, Gary.
DragonCon 35. Welcome home.
What?
And that was good energy for Sunday night. That was good. How's everybody doing? How's your con?
Excellent.
Who's drunk?
Who's getting there?
You are too.
Just my wife.
Just a
Some
few
of us
beats.
have to run a freaking track.
Yes.
We don't have time to drink.
Yes. Oh, the few.
I'll be drinking on the drive home.
That's right. Remember, Joe, just don't drink and drive because you'll spill your drink.
I just have this image of like the news headline: track director from DragonCon caught drunk driving.
Name Jose Cuervo.
Jose Cuervo.
All right. A few bits of business before we get started. DragonCon charity this year is Big Brothers Big Sisters. It's Sunday night at con. You should be done with any money. You shouldn't be needing to spend anymore. So whatever you got left, just drop in the bucket. It's just weighing you down.
Yep.
Yeah, and speaking of that, maybe we'll auction off some fun stuff or give away some things.
Wee.
Tonight and tomorrow.
And DragonCon has promised to match up to $100,000. So let's make DragonCon pay.
Make them pay.
Yes, make them
Yay.
pay.
Dum dum.
Tum-tum.
No eating or drinking in the track room. Please keep your mask on above your nose, below your chin. Trying to remember if there. What else? What other announcements do we have? Yes.
Oh yeah, the app.
If you are using the DragonCon app and you enjoy this panel, please rate it. Rate it 5 stars if you enjoyed it. If you did not enjoy it, we are military sci-fi.
Blame them.
Yes. Look, I don't care which other track we are if they don't like us.
Okay. So here's the thing. We're the military sci-fi track, but we're gonna pretend like we're the Navy and we're beating the Army. So there we go.
And all is right with the world.
And all is right with the world.
All
The
right.
trophy is coming home. That's okay.
So, but please, and if you enjoy this panel, if you want more panels like this, please leave those comments. The DragonCon bosses read all the ratings. They read all the comments. Joe and I read all the comments, and that helps decide what track panel things you'll see next year.
Yes.
So,
And because you guys are smart and cool, because you guys are here, I thought what we would do is right before we get started, we'll have a little preamble where we play a couple of short things based on, very familiar to one of our panelists, the game Remote Control.
Yay!
And I'm going to ask the questions. You're going to get the prizes whether you like them or not.
You will get them and you will like them.
Okay, here is what we're doing. This is, what we did was, I did a virtual panel where we played Remote Control, the board game. And our panelist, Denise, was not born when the game came out.
No, but you know what? I knew that Elvis came before World War II, and I was so proud of myself.
You did really well.
Thank you, Sirius XM Satellite Radio.
That is right. So, here's what we're going to do. This is a game, at the end of every episode of Remote Control, they would do a lightning round called Think Real Fast. So, this category is, I'm going to replace the title, a word in the title of a TV show, with a medical term.
Oh, God.
You tell
Are we
me
allowed to play too?
the
I think we are the ones playing.
Yeah, I think
actual name of the actual show. And here we go. You're going to get a prize, like I said, whether you like it or not.
Okay,
I'll
Joe,
tell you what the prize is
Joe,
when you win it.
are they playing or are we playing?
Yes.
Y'all know what prizes I have. If you want to win them, you.
Oh, well, all right.
I abstain.
Courteously.
Courteously abstain.
As an attorney, I recuse myself.
Thank you.
Thank you, 3 people who got that.
As a glutton for punishment, I will play.
Are they supposed to answer?
You.
That was what we were just
Yeah,
figuring
we were
out.
trying to figure it out.
We talked about the prizes, but
Well, he's saying we know what the prizes are, so we're probably not going to want to.
Yeah, so we're not gonna want them, but you guys are gonna get them whether you like
Does
them
the
or
term
not.
white elephant mean anything?
Don't let that influence your decision.
Look, answer his question.
Yeah, just answer the questions. You'll be all
I'm
right.
not saying the prizes are awful.
You're not saying they're good either.
I'm saying
They're
I don't put
prizes.
them in my house anymore.
Welcome to the classic science fiction track yard sale, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's saying.
Denise, we've been doing that for 10 years.
Yes.
And we still haven't run out of things.
Yeah, this is Joe and I's 10th year of running this track. And they let us keep doing it.
Despite the app.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. So here,
Jacques Hughes!
ladies and gentlemen, all right, here is the first question. We're going to replace a word in a title of a TV show with a medical term. And I want you guys to just raise your hands, and I will call on you, and you can give me the answer. And here is the show's name. And the show's name is Lost in Gangrene. You, ma'am.
Lost in space.
You are correct.
Woo!
You're going to regret what you just did.
Here is your prize. This is the never-aired pilot for Wonder Woman.
Oh, I take it back.
Hey!
I love Wonder Woman.
Look at her face.
Look at her figure. She's like, gimme.
Yeah, that's the one with Adrian Palicki.
That crappy.
This is the one by the gentleman who brought us Ally McBeal, if I'm not mistaken.
Out with Adrian Palicki.
Adrian Palicki.
We should have thrown as a bonus on there the 1966 Wonder Woman pilot.
Yes.
Gimme.
I do have that on VHS.
Maybe I will.
That thing's
I
insane.
know,
The
right?
one with,
I didn't know what the prizes were.
should have put the one with Kathy Lee Crosby on there.
I've seen a few of the
I've
prizes.
got that too. Not here. Next year. And now, here's another one. And your TV show is Scar Tissue and Mrs. King. Yes.
That was the spinoff. It didn't see it.
Hooray!
Yay! Oh, I know her. Give her a good one.
It's too late. It's already beginning.
It's too late. I'm going to give you on DVD Rescue from Gilligan's Island.
Your kids will love it. They'll get all those 80s references.
If they ever do like a
Here
Monsters
is
Gilligan's
another one.
Island reunion film combined
Let's see,
together.
this is one of my
I saw a
favorites.
video listing one time. I was just
Battlestar Gonorrhea.
and it was monsters.
As people walk into the they were like, what?
And I was like, that's the crossover I want.
You are
Yeah,
correct.
I'm down for that.
Here
I want a
are
monsters bewitched crossover.
It's like the Cinemax version.
Do you see Major Healy trying to date Marilyn?
t-shirts.
Finally meeting Herman.
Oh my god, they're Wonder Twin shirts. It's amazing. Yeah!
Shape of something useless. Form of a waste of time.
The form of a bucket of water.
Yes.
Really mad that they're not winning all my prizes.
Joe, are you about to give out a space monkey as the next prize?
Hey!
But is it going to be a
I want
Space
Sherman to
Monkey
get a
Mafia?
prize just for doing that.
That was good. Sherman was a startling Gleek influence.
Sherman, is there something you haven't told us?
I'm not purple.
Oh, well.
No.
Kind of are. Your face really is right now.
Yeah, that's
I'm not saying anything on the grounds I'm about to go to court.
All right, one more. Truth or colitis? You are correct. Your reward is the novelization of Cole the Conqueror.
Yay!
We would actually have to see
speaking of novelizations, Sue, I believe yours is back there.
Those were solid prizes.
Yeah, those were great prizes.
Do you still have
I
more?
don't mess around.
Do you still have more prizes, Joe?
No. Well, we can wait.
Okay, yeah, because
How about
we.
at the end of the panel, at the end of the court session, we'll auction off a thing or two.
Okay,
Yay.
so Joe, I guess we should introduce our or get this going.
Yes, we can do that.
Mr. Bailey, if you wouldn't please be so kind.
Media, the fandoms are separated into two groups. Those that criticize and defame certain movies, and those that defend them. These are those cases.
Tongue tongue.
You're up first, Denise.
Oh my
All right.
goodness.
So introduce yourself, and then. Oh, and Joe Crow is our illustrious
Actually, if it would
judge.
make you, I can.
No. Say no. You're fine.
Putting his robes on. One moment.
Wait for the judge to.
Hold on. Oh, he's got sparkly robes. He's got sparkly.
Styling and profiling.
I believe that is the Macho Man robe.
I believe so. Are we ready to go?
Yes, introduce yourself
All right,
in your
ladies and
movie.
Said, oh yeah.
I object.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Denise Lehman. You can find me on Instagram at Layman's Terms. That's Laymons Terms. It's a play on my last name because I'm French and we hate the English-speaking language for thousands of years of reasons. But today, I will be coming to you as my D&D character, Dr. Jane Baxter Pessimore. My entire reason for being is to put myself in grievous bodily harm or danger thereof to rewrite Follow's Guide to Monsters. I am a changeling rogue thief, so take that what you will. And I will be
Watch that for me.
defending the Dungeons & Dragons live-action 2000 movie for you today. Yes, I know. The movie that managed to tick off 2 generations of nerds. 2! Not just 1, but 2.
How many was it again?
2.
Okay. Oh, 2.
No, there's 3.
Oh, I'm saying it rolled a 2.
Yes, it did. I know, right? It's brilliant. I found it. All right. I'm going to roll for persuasion at a disadvantage. Now, the things you need to keep in mind when thinking of this movie. Did the plot make sense? In summary, the Empress of Ismail wants equality between mages and commoners through the land. Profian, one of her counselors, doesn't like that so much and decides, lol, no, that's not a thing that's going to happen. The Rod of Severin boasts the ability to control red dragons. Our Profian wants it because he's a power-hungry twat. Intrepid and not so talented thieves, Ridley and Snails, get caught up in class warfare because they decide it's a good idea to go stealing things they shouldn't in places maybe they should have thought about twice. Through every fault of Ridley's need to prove himself to everyone around him and the Mage Marina's entitled sense of superiority, they, an elf guard and a dwarf with an alcohol problem, wind up being the people to obtain the rod and the one stopping Profian from achieving his goals of world domination.
Good Justin 0.
Right. Was the movie fun? Yes. It's so ridiculous to the point of absurdity. It epitomizes the dangers in thinking that your players are going to behave how you think they should. It's a game that had every intention of being this epic thing, and then it goes wildly off the rails because Ridley wanted to be the fucking hero. Zealous Richard O'Brien plays the roles of the thief boss perfectly. Snails is the best damn character in the entire movie, and he should have been a bard, really, or a paladin. 2 thieves doesn't really work.
That's pretty much on.
And then Profian, Jeremy Irons, who bought a castle right before this movie, overacted the fuck out of his role, and it's amazing. Was the dialogue coherent? Is another question you have to ask yourself. One could argue the script is uninspired, but the dialogue does the job of telling us what we need to know. It does beat you over the head with the inequality between the mages and everyone else, though. I mean, it really, really, really does. Dialogue wasn't terribly clunky, and there wasn't anything out of place inserted into the script out of nowhere. No sudden shifts in manners of speech, modern or topical references, etc. All right. Now, was the movie acted adequately? Yes. and no. It's that age-old question, is the theory of yes and no. Damodar. Damodar. Poor Thora Birch. Whoever told her the never-ending child princess story was the way, no, it was not. Which is a shame because she is a really good little actress. I remember her from Hocus Pocus. She was wonderful. Marina is a better snob than you could ever hope to be. Ever. Snails, forever, forever. Richard O'Brien, and I am not kidding about this, but Damodar. I mean, really, it's Damodar. We all know it is. He's here to chew the scenery, every little bitty bit of it. Why is it so bad? Where did it go wrong? This is the question for the ages, ladies and gentlemen, so pay attention when I answer it. It succeeds when it remembers it's a Dungeons & Dragons movie. It goes bad when it wants to follow the hero formula and turns its focus on Ridley. No one cares about Ridley. No one. The tonal shifts are so sudden and complete that it pulls the viewer out of the movie and makes itself into a new one. You know, all of those spaces where it says, we can't go in here, it's for you to do it. No, that's when the movie shifts to a hero thing. No, it doesn't work. The whole Thieves Guild should have been a dungeon where everybody figures it out. It would have been glorious. See? Dungeon Thieves. That's what I'm talking about. Should have been a collaborative effort between Snails, Ridley, the dwarf, and Marina. Cave Scene again deliberately excludes the team members to focus on Ridley because it's lazy and studio interference. The Lich should have been a dungeon boss. This guy should have been a dungeon boss. We were robbed. Robbed. But what about the D&D mechanics? Unless the movie was absolutely going to lean into and acknowledge from the get-go that it's a game and built its plot around that, you were never going to get Snails or Ridley asking the ceiling to check for traps, or Marina rolling for an intelligence save when Damodar sank his weird little ear tentacle things into her brain. You should have, 100%, but you were not going to. Doing it this way, asking the ceiling, hey, can I make an intelligence save, presents its own structure, problems, and terms of pacing. It's problematic. It can be done, but there are workarounds. But remember, what works in a book doesn't necessarily translate into a movie, and we're not going to talk about Tom Bombadil. If you want a D&D book that recognizes it is, Caverns and Creatures, volumes 1 through however many they are, they're wonderful. I love them so much. It acknowledges it's a game and uses it as a plot device. Jumanji, best representation of turning a game into a movie and doing it well. Slayers next, Slayers try. This is a D&D game forever. Great anime, watch it. But Lord of the Rings, this is something that someone actually told me, and I couldn't believe it. But Lord of the Rings showed us what fantasy movies could be, and the D&D movie is trash. No, you are right, that Lord of the Rings showed us the fantasy movie potential. And now it's the standard to beat for fantasy movies and television shows. It's not D&D, it's action-adventure, two separate things. Why would you judge two separate movies by the same standard? It's not fair. It's rude. Why it's actually good, though? Pay attention, pay attention. D&D was the first live-action movie of its kind and should be appreciated for it. D&D movie has its bad parts and problems, but it's not unwatchably bad. I mean, Jeremy Irons, come on, he overacts. Yes, you can want to punch the D&D movie for not living up to its potential. That's completely understandable, and I get it, and it's valid. See, understandable. But appreciate it for what it is, what it wanted to be, and what it could have been. But don't hate it. You were a bad DM and player once too. And that is the end. Just so you know, the D&D movie and Lord of the Rings came out, the Fellowship of the Ring came out at the same time. So it's really unfair to put those standards on a movie previous to it. Anyway, save the hate for the Chris Pine version, because as bad as you think as the 2000 version was, so there's a chance that this one could be worse. I mean, seriously, look at the Mortal Kombat movie they just came out with. The bar was so fucking low, they fucked it up royally. I'm still at a loss as to how that was even possible. The bar was low. It was so low. The end.
As an impartial judge, I shouldn't clap.
I'm going to roll a wit save.
Yes, questions from the jury pool?
The Rod of Severin?
The Rod of Severin.
Seriously?
Yes.
Like Doc Severin?
Yes. We don't ask questions, we just go with it.
Okay.
Correct. In
Look,
this court,
Dungeon Masters get their character
Yes.
names from anywhere they can.
Yes, they do.
correct.
I mean, Gary
Okay.
Gygax makes the entire game off of Lord of the Rings, so, there is that.
Any further questions from the jury pool? No, I did not think so. I will retreat now into the judicial chambers inside my mind.
Think about the
And
animal game,
come
aren't
up
you?
now with my decision. Not guilty!
Gavel?
Very well done.
Thank you. It was much, much longer. Ask Kevin.
This court session is adjourned.
Chung chung.
Next on the docket, please.
You are?
Okay. Hey everybody, I'm Kevin. I'm a podcaster. I do a show called The Flopcast, a very silly, nerdy, geeky, silly, weird, goofy, geeky show or something. Part of the ESO network, and we have ribbons for you. If anyone doesn't have any of these ribbons yet, they're up here. There's a bunch and cards.
Please get on with. I will strike this jury.
Maybe they want to be struck.
I'm not allowed to bribe the jury with shiny things before I start?
That's contempt.
Well, okay. I'll stand corrected.
There's so much contempt.
All right, in that case, I will get right into it. Folks, in the late 70s, Hanna-Barbera somehow convinced NBC to order a pair of primetime live-action TV specials known as Legends of the Superheroes. Was this an amazing gathering of DC Comics heroes and villains? Yes. Was it problematic and weird? Also, yes. The casting call went out. For the heroes, they used mostly young, unknown actors, anybody who could fit the suit, Johnny Bravo style, So we had the classic DC heroes like Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, Captain Marvel. Nobody bothered calling the old Captain Marvels. They just got a new guy. Now, some big pieces were missing. Superman and Supergirl, they couldn't use. They were tied up in movie rights. Wonder Woman, of course, also was not available. But they did need women on the team, so they added Black Canary, making her TV debut after more than 30 years. And they added the Huntress, making her TV debut after like 5 minutes. The big scoop, though, was they got actual Batman and Robin from the TV series. After more than a decade, Adam West and Burt Ward suited up again. As did their old enemy, the Riddler. Frank Gorshin, yes, slipped into the silly green bodysuit one more time. The rest of the villains were also veteran character actors and comedians. Sinestro was Charlie Callis. He was a regular on The Tonight Show, and he was also the voice of Pete's Dragon. Charlie looked ridiculous as Sinestro, but then Sinestro always looked ridiculous. Howard Morris was best known as Ernest T. Bass from The Andy Griffith Show. He also did a lot of cartoon voices, and he was eerily accurate as Dr. Savannah. Mickey Morton also looked pretty amazing as Solomon Grundy. But my favorite Mickey Morton credit, in the Star Wars Holiday Special, he played Mala, Chewbacca's wife.
Pandering.
Gabriel Dell was the wizard Mordru, a very obscure character who just happened to be in a recent Justice League comic book. Way back in the 40s, Gabriel was one of the Bowery Boys. And he also has a Star Wars Holiday Special connection. By some accounts, he was the voice of Boba Fett. The role of Giganta went to a tall woman named Alicia Brevard. She was an actress and a nightclub performer. And later, she wrote a book about her life as a trans woman and became a role model in the trans community, which is cool. And then we have Weather Wizard, played by young comedian Jeff Altman. Jeff would be a regular guest on David Letterman, and he also was the host of the notorious variety show Pink Lady and Jeff. Thank you, Gary.
I love the what from the audience.
We could do a panel about Pink Lady and Jeff someday, and we should. Legends of the Superheroes, Episode 1 was The Challenge, in which the villains try to blow up the world, because I don't know what they were thinking, but that was their plan. Along the way, Sinestro wrecks the Batmobile and pretends to be a fortune teller. Weather Wizard pretends to be a used car salesman. Dr. Savannah pretends to run a lemonade stand. Solomon Grundy pretends to run a gas station and captures Hawkman and Black Canary, who are then rescued by Captain Marvel. This was all witnessed by future Night Court star Marsha Warfield. Marsha was completely unknown at the time, but I think she might be the best thing in this whole show. Now, in case you're wondering if Batman and Robin got to chase Mordru on jet skis, oh yes they did. This was just the warm-up for Episode 2, The Roast, in which the superheroes get roasted by the supervillains. The whole thing is hosted by The Tonight Show's Ed McMahon. And Ed has hilarious lines like, "I haven't seen people dressed like this since I had lunch at Alice Cooper's house."
Heyo.
Anyway, the Weather Wizard makes it rain on everybody. Dr. Savannah examines all the heroes, in some cases quite creepily. We meet Hawkman's mother, who gives just a series of nonstop bird jokes, such as, "Come back home, I'll put fresh newspapers on your bed." Hawkman's mother was played by Pat Carroll. She was later the voice of Ursula from The Little Mermaid. The Scarlet Cyclone, a.k.a. Retired Man, appears for an uncomfortable series of confused old man jokes, possibly inspiring Dana Carvey. Now, how old was Retired Man, though? Well, he was played by William Shallert, who was a whopping 58 years old. He had just finished playing Nancy Drew's father, and he was the same age as Ed McMahon. But just in case Retired Man wasn't problematic enough, along came Ghetto Man. I'm going to let you fill in the jokes yourself. Ghetto Man was played by comedian Brad Sanders, who later starred in a Turner and Hooch ripoff series called Tequila and Bonetti as the voice of the dog. Aunt Minerva appears, played by Laugh-In's Ruth Buzzy. Minerva announces that she's looking for a husband, which leads to an exchange I cannot believe the censors allowed. Are we not getting the... Okay. Well, I guess this part was censored. Okay, well, I'll have to do it then. The Flash says to Minerva, "That's right, I'm the world's fastest man." And Minerva looks up and says, "Pass." By the way, we want to thank Mrs. Hudgens' 4th grade class for getting out their safety scissors and designing the Flash mask. Nice job, kids. There's a bizarre interview sequence in which Giganta and the Atom announce that they're getting married. Now, were there a bunch of awkward jokes about what was going to happen on the honeymoon?
Of course.
What do you think? The interviewer was played by June Gable, who later played Joey's manager on Friends. And Adam was played by Alfie Wise, who once worked with Charles Nelson Riley, playing a horrifying creature named Rabbit Ears. Anyway, the big finale is a song and dance number from Mordru. Then Ed McMahon flies away. The end. Now, what should we make of all this? As a young DC Comics fan, I remember being amazed to see all these characters brought to life. And even today, I love that something this crazy actually happened. On the other hand, you know, Is Legends of the Superheroes really defensible? Well, I was discussing this with a friend of mine, friend of the Classics track, Kevin Cafferty, and he had this to say. When you signed on to be a public defender, you implicitly agreed to advocate for the very worst society has to offer. The system works because of people like you. And so, as I throw Legends of the Superheroes on the mercy of the court, I hope you'll take Kevin's words to heart, and I'll remind you that while this may not have been DC's finest hour, we can't let Marvel off the hook either. Because Legends of the Superheroes premiered on January 18th, 1979, and the very next night, we got this. But that's another defense for another time. Thank you.
I would vote to acquit.
I'm sure everybody has many questions.
I would vote to acquit because of Frank Gorshin, Batman and Robin on jet skis, and this is like the natural sequel to the original Batman 2-hour movie. This is like the next level up from that Batman movie.
I must point out.
I'm just going to stand over here while Joe tries to
That's what you got
I believe we have a hand up.
We have a hand up over there and then over here. So right here first.
So I propose that this is next year's lock-in movie.
Can I pay my 20 now?
Now I'm bringing pie.
Damn you!
Now your question.
This juror would like to remind the judge that this was the only episode that Adam West regretted doing, and said so vocally.
Which makes it awesome.
The bar is so low. Ladies and gentlemen, while this was unfurling, this defense was unfurling before me, I was struck inside my judicial mind, and I retreated into the chambers of my soul.
And talk to Manimal.
Of course.
Talk to Manimal.
I refuse to take comments from the defense attorneys. Only one of you has approached the bench, and your message has been received.
It was very subtle, but yes.
The subtle messages are my personal favorites. Subtle is best. I'd like to tell a very personal story.
Oh boy.
From
Oh boy.
Legends of the Superheroes, as a gentle Ute in the 70s, I thought, there's never going to be anything good on television. And I, likewise, loved me some of the superheroes. And then this thing came on. And I said to my young self, at the time I was also my young self, I said, self, should we rethink this thing about the superheroes that we like? Should maybe we like, And then, Batman and Robin chased Mordru on a jet ski. And this movie remained lodged in my judicial cerebellum and medulla oblongata for the entirety of my life And I thought, now I'm going to compare every single superhero thing, and Spider-Man is out. Spider-Man is done with this. Bailiff, pursue that man.
He can't take the DC awesomeness.
He really can't. Pursue that Spider-Man. Ladies and gentlemen, then at my very first DragonCon, at which our chambers are located, my very first DragonCon, I purchased this, I dare say illegally, upon a bootleg video HS cassette. So, while a regular judge might recuse himself because of such heinous criminal actions, I am a classic sci-fi judge, and so I judge this not guilty.
The system works.
The system works.
I think Joe's ready for the Supreme Court.
Also, it just so happens that I have a copy of this very thing on the DVD, which we shall be watching next year. As if by magic, when Juror Rosalind said we should watch it, as if by magic, I had it delivered from Acme instantly, much like one does if you're a super genius coyote. If it may please the other defense attorneys, present another case to me.
Go to hit the arrow button and I'll tell you who's next.
Thank goodness. I did not want to have to follow that.
I went last.
Your Honor, I move that Kevin go last from now on.
Mr. Bailey, if I may implore you to move the button for me.
Slide, slide, slide.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gary Mitchell, and along with Joe Crow, I am the co-director of the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. We do weekly panels every Thursday night on YouTube and the Facebook. You will have seen us there, hopefully. If you haven't seen us there, go back. It's all archived for your viewing enjoyment. And I have taken on the burden of defending The Sword and the Sorcerer. From 1982, the same year they gave us Conan. Science fiction and fantasy movies were very big that year. Here are the facts of The Sword and the Sorcerer. Came out in 1982, same year as Conan. It cost $4 million to make. You don't see it. It made $39 million, so it is technically a success. It holds a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.6 on IMDb. It was directed by Albert Kuhn. Yes, the same Albert Kuhn who did Radioactive Dreams, Cyborg, and the 1990 Captain America movie. Woo! Most people, when you suggest watching Sword and the Sorcerer, tend to give you this reaction, which you can't see. We need the lights down a little bit. But basically, the guy is doing this. It's a shocking movie. So, the charges. It is charged with being a very basic, generic fantasy movie with a very boring lead. Our main hero does most of his heroics by people telling us how awesome he was in other adventures that happen before this movie.
The court excuses you, sir. You can't.
There are many times within the movie that the characters go, "Hey, that's Talon. Remember when he saved our kingdom? We should help him." Or, "Hey, that's Talon. Remember when he saved us from those mercenaries? We should help him." We never see him do anything that cool in this movie. It is charged with not having enough sword nor sorcery. And this is the face most people make while talking about this movie. Next slide. Now, Now, the defense. The movie has some very cool visuals. Like when we go to find the sorcerer at the very beginning of the movie, he's kept in this tomb that's covered with these faces, contorted in agony. And as the lady resurrects him from his coffin, it comes to life. All the faces start screaming in agony, dripping blood. It's awesome. It's gory. It's cool. It's gross. And it's cool. Next slide. So, I submit that it actually does have a pretty good cast. This is our hero, Talon. He's played by Lee Horsley, and he's a very pretty man. He has amazing 80s hair. It's very feminine. Our main villain, there are two, is Cromwell, not that one. Played by one of the greatest 80s B-movie bad guy actors you could get, Mr. Richard Lynch. On the left, you see him at the beginning of the movie when he's trying to take over the kingdom. On the right, you see him in his full king glory, where he's taken over the kingdom. Next slide. Our other villain is the sorcerer Zusa, played by the magnificent Richard Mall. You may know him as Bull Shannon from Night Court. He again has the face most people have when they're talking about this movie. As a note, Richard Mall had performed the movie, one scene in the movie, the rest of it, he had a bad reaction to the contact lenses and he got sent to the hospital. So they got someone else to get in the makeup and he overdubbed the voice. Next slide. But here's the best defense I can give of this movie. What really saved this movie is one main person in the cast. This person redeems the entire movie just by being in it. They are the whole reason to watch this movie. I present to the judge, this is the whole reason this movie should be found innocent of all charges of being bad. Next slide. It stars Simon the Crocodile, also known as Manimal.
Objection. Pandering. Objection, Your Honor.
Objection.
It's pandering.
Next slide. Look, if you can't argue the facts, you argue the heart. Secret Medieval Animals is the real title of Secret Medieval Animals. Simon plays Prince Mika, the son of King Cromwell, not that one, that Cromwell overthrew to become king. He is determined to reclaim his birthright and become the king again. I posit this movie is actually the story of Manimal's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. Next slide. There is a lot of subtle and blatant erotic shots of the beefcake. I believe the subtext in this particular scene is obvious. Next slide. Again, not very subtle. Because Simon McGorgadale is captured and tortured quite explicitly by the bad guys. And just look at that face. How can that face be guilty of anything? Next slide. Look at the face of the longing on the Cromwell, not that Cromwell, that Cromwell's face. And sultry McCorkindale, draped in the background. Next slide. Now the sword of the title is actually very cool. It is a three-bladed sword, as you can see from the picture on the left, when our young hero receives it when his kingdom is overthrown. On the right, you also see him aiming it at someone, because this is not just any sword. This is a sword with three blades that you can hit a button on the blade, and it fires someone off. It can do this twice, because there are three blades. I think it's in the jury to think of the math on that for a minute.
Math.
Now, mind you, we never see him recover it after he shoots it, and it shoots at like 700 miles an hour. It hits one guy, throws him 30 feet.
Wow, think of the spring.
So it's, the only problem is we see the sword here at the beginning, and then we see it at the end. The rest of the movie, no sword. Next one.
Watch this movie now.
Just some more subtext when our hero gets captured. I'm sure they weren't trying to pander. Well, maybe a little pander. Next slide. Now this is from the end of the movie, the climax. The Sword goes up against the sorcerer. Talon just wants to kill Cromwell, not that one. And
Maybe
the
that's
sorcerer
one,
wants to kill Cromwell, not that one. At this point, our hero Talon is confronting the sorcerer and says, I have no quarrel with you. The sorcerer goes, Cromwell is mine. Talon goes, I now have a quarrel with you. Next slide. And our supposed hero, Talon, you see at the end, just come out on top. He defeats Cromwell, not that one, and the sorcerer, and gets the girl for a night. Next slide. But as we see, our real hero at the end becomes victorious with the death of Cromwell, not that one. He has claimed the throne and dons the crown and becomes King Manimal. Next slide. This is the real biggest crime of the movie, though. We get the tease of watch for Talon's next adventure, Tales of the Ignorant Ninja Empire, coming soon. What will Hollywood learn? Don't do that. Every movie that does that, there's no sequel. I'm still waiting on Buckaroo Banzai 2.
Yes.
I'm still waiting on the return of Skeletor.
Mac and me too.
You go to hell. Next slide. And more shots of lovely Manimal, just because.
I really feel like this is pandering.
Next slide. All hail King Manimal.
Oh, sorry.
Next slide. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you needing a verdict for the sword and the sorcerer. Next slide. Oh, no, Tremors. I'm done.
Wow. There's a theory in comedy that if you do something funny once, it's funny. If you do it again, it's funny. You do it a third time, it's not funny. But if you keep doing it, it becomes funny again. And if Gary proved anything tonight, it's that.
I throw myself upon the Manimal of the court.
Why don't you just hand him an envelope full of cash?
Because this is cheaper.
Wow.
The classic sci-fi court.
Yes, lights, please.
Graciously accepts your offering. And the court would also like to say to Attorney Mitchell, this is the greatest thing in 10 years that's ever happened. And that bar is very high in the American Sci-Fi Classics track because we don't screw around. It is the greatest thing that I've ever seen, and now we have to watch Sword and the Sorcerer also.
Yes.
And
I actually like that movie.
finally,
I did know that was a thing.
in your presentation, you delivered a description that I believe speaks to the hearts of everyone in our audience, all of our American Sci-Fi Classics track audience, everyone in our clubhouse that we have had so much fun with. The quote is, faces screaming in agony, dripping blood. And so, Sword and Sorcerer, not guilty, all hail King Manimal.
I just want everybody to see the grin.
I feel
want
as
that.
though this court
Follow
is rigged.
that.
Holy crap.
Oh,
Oh, it's after 10. Holy shit.
I can't see anything. Tremors is not guilty.
Wait for it. Wait for it. If we don't get all Hail King Manimal t-shirts next year, Gary.
Oh, it's already happening. I've already retreated to the online printing shop in my judicial mind.
Sue, I do believe Gary is going to ask you to make the t-shirts next, or at least do the logo for them. I'm just...
Well, do you want to design them or do you want Joe to design them? Thank you.
All hail. All hail the mighty Joe the Judge. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Well, I'm next.
Excellent.
What?
That was my smartass detector. Thank you. I am here, your loveliness. Oh, yeah, just give me this. Get this.
Most of these mics are like fictional. Fisher Price made this one.
They're American classics. This one's gain is very high. Anyway, your Lord and loveliness, Judge Joe. I am here to defend a Tremors movie. Oh, I hit the button. So, no, not that one. The first Tremors movie had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 86% and an audience reaction score of 75% because it's awesome. I assume I don't have to defend that movie.
I've seen them all. It's fine.
Or, I'm not defending this one either, Tremors 3 Back to Perfection. Rotten Tomatoes 80%, audience reaction is 34%, but still the critics were correct. I'm actually defending this one, Tremors 2 Aftershocks, which neither the critics nor the audience seem to appreciate. And I'm here to defend it because I think it's amazing. I'd like to start by saying that you can't enjoy Tremors 3 without watching Tremors 2. So it's sort of a necessary part of the series, which you'll be happy to know there are rumors about an 8th Tremors movie coming out. Excellent. So what happens in every Tremors movie is they add a twist to the graboids. And in the second movie, I'll talk about what happens in the second movie, but they introduce a twist to the story because our heroes get a little cocky, which is part of the fun. So Kevin Bacon didn't make it back in the second movie. That's fine because we had Fred Ward return for the second one. He plays one of the 2 hero survivors of the first attack of graboids in Perfection, Nevada. He's Fred Ward, guys. He's awesome. He's funny, he's curmudgeonly and grumpy, and he does an excellent job of dealing with the fame that comes with him, except we find out throughout the development of the story between the first Tremors and the second Tremors that he didn't get any of the money that everybody else seemed to make off of the existence of the monsters. And so he's a little financially tapped. When he gets summoned to a fake Los Angeles hillside called Mexico to deal with another infestation in which the government gives him an offer of a lot of money to go hunting. He's joined by Michael Gross, who plays the Burt Gummer. Somehow Michael Gross is in every single movie, even though one of the later movies is set 100 years before. He plays his great-great-great-uncle or something like that. But Michael Gross, who was the father on Family Ties, completely destroyed typecasting by playing the gun nut basement shelter and survivalist Burt Gummer, who doesn't appear in the beginning of the movie, and you're sort of going, wait, no, we have to have our Burt. He shows up about a third of the way through the movie in the most glorious way possible and kicks butt and is very entertaining. I've watched interviews with Michael Gross, and he loves that everybody is so amazed that he plays this character, especially after Family Ties. He loves playing this character, and he said several times he'll keep going. That in and of itself means that this movie is not guilty for giving us more of Burt. The female lead and the love interest is Helen Shaver, whose character is one of the things that I like about the Tremors series is they keep maintaining that the woman lead is the most intelligent person in the cast, and again, yeah, she is. I don't know if you remember, but from the first Tremors movie, they set this up by saying, seriously? Okay, all right. So by saying, by having all the characters continually ask the female lead, who was the scientist, the geologist, they kept asking her questions about the graboids. And she looked at them and finally, after an hour, and went, why are you asking me? And they said, because you're the smartest one in the room. Which again, Helen Shaver is the smartest one in the room. She plays a scientist who, just by an amazing coincidence, happens to have been a Playboy playmate decades before. Hence, the love interest with our buddy Earl, played by Fred Ward. And then, of course, I have to mention this guy who plays Grady. That's him in the red circle on the hood of the car that's been turned over by the real stars of the movie, the Graboids. The Graboids are a throwback to the 1950s monster movies. They're an attempt to relive the childhood of the people that wrote and made this movie, which in and of itself is a terrific reason to enjoy these films. The Graboids are giant underground slugs. Their tongues are reminiscent of the xenomorph. They're about 25 feet long with their own little mouths and claws. It's a great, great monster, played by various things like a propane tank. Not kidding, a propane tank plays a Graboid in all of these movies. The really weird thing, Your Honor, I apologize for the quality of this photo, but you wouldn't believe how hard it is to get a good picture of a Graboid online. Frightening at best. The second movie introduces the new kids literally on the block here in this photo. Thank you, 2 people who got that joke. These are the Shriekers. What you find out in the first movie is the Graboids are subterranean monsters. We don't know anything about them other than they like to eat station wagons. Thank you. And in the second movie, they successfully hunt the Graboids, but then they find out that there's a second level of fermentation. And a Graboid, if it survives long enough, will actually spit out 6 of these little monsters. In the first movie, they detect you by seismic vibrations, but in the second movie, they detect you thermally. So it completely ruins everybody's plans. There's a wonderful, about 15-minute bit where they figure out how to deal with these things, because there's suddenly all of our heroes have no idea what to do, but they figure it out in the most glorious way possible. And in conclusion, I think that if you have any awareness at all of the first Tremors movie, if you've seen it, if you like it, please go back and revisit the series. It's fabulous. You need the second movie to go through the series. So even if you say, well, it's not the best in the series, it is still absolutely worth it. If nothing else, there's this wonderful moment at the end that's represented in the photo where they blow up Bert's entire truck full of explosives, and he keeps saying, no, go further, it's going to be big. He says it about 6 times. The best part is, if you look in let's see if I get the mouse. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, this is a building that they were originally attempting to hide behind, and he comes around the corner and goes, no, keep going, it's going to be big. Anyway, all right. And I will turn it over to our delicious and lovely Judge Joe for a ruling.
Don't suck up to the judge.
Says the man with manimal in his presentation.
Mine was science fiction.
There will be no shots fired in this courtroom. Bailiff, thank you.
Yeah, Bailey the bailiff.
It's the bailiff within the judicial chambers of my very soul.
This is getting awkward.
Getting?
Oh, you're there. Ladies and gentlemen, I retreated much like the Graboids under the ground to make this judgment. And also, much like the Graboids, I am now going to burst forth out of the dirt and with my tendrils and my tongue with the things on it, I'm going to issue my verdict, which is not guilty.
Hey everybody, my name is Michael Bailey. I am a podcaster. I run the Fortress of Bailey Tube podcasting network. And I have spent much of my podcasting career talking about comic books because I love comic books. And before I loved comic books, I loved superheroes. And as I grew into my later 20s, I was pleasantly surprised to find that Hollywood had finally woken up to the fact that you can make money off of these things. And after about a 3-year drought in the year 2000, we got the X-Men movie. Fantastic film. Not really. Actually, it's really problematic now when you find out a lot of things about Bryan Singer, but that's not the point. And then the next year, well, we didn't have anything because it was 2001, and some big things happened. But in 2002, we got Spider-Man, right?
You're allowed to leave,
Yes.
whoever you were.
We got the Sam Raimi Spider-Man film starring Tobey Maguire. It was amazing. So 2003 rolls around, and not only do we have Daredevil, which I'm not defending, but we got X2, which was really good. And then we got this. 2003's Hulk, directed by Ang Lee, starring Eric Bana, Jennifer Connelly, and Sam Elliott. This piece of shit is not getting defended tonight either. I am here to defend 2008's Incredible Hulk.
Oh!
For several reasons. One, it's amazing.
Yes.
No, dare I say, it's incredible. This is the forgotten MCU movie.
Yes.
This, I'm talking of like the 2008 MCU movies. Howard the Duck is the forgotten classic, and now Denise is never going to speak to me again.
Ever.
I object.
Ever.
They actually, it's not forgotten because it was referenced in recent MCU thing.
Okay, I understand that, but if you go online, and please don't, but if you go online, this movie is consistently at the bottom of people's rankings. When they and a lot of people say, well, it's not even an MCU film. And then you're like, well, Tony Stark showed up at the end of it, and they're like, shut up. Because that is the level of discourse on Twitter. Insert transphobic, homophobic comment here. This film came out in 2008, starred Edward Norton as Robert Bruce Banner. Edward Norton did the most amazing thing, is that he, in addition to bringing the angst to the film, he basically had a Ouija board behind the scenes and was constantly channeling Bill Bixby throughout the entirety of this film. His Bruce Banner, which, by the way, automatically makes it better than 2003's Hulk film because he was Bruce Krenzler in that. And if you forgot that, you're welcome for being reminded of it. But no, Edward Norton brought a real gravitas to the role. He was intense, but very likable. He had kind of a sense of humor about it, but you never got the sense that he felt that he was beneath the material. The creature itself was heads and tails above the 2003 movie. Every time I watch the 2003 movie now, which I did to compare it to the 2008 for the purposes of this trial, I kept hearing All-Star by Smash Mouth. Because that thing looks like Shrek.
No, but he punched through a dog the size of a water buffalo.
Okay, we're not talking about the 2003 Hulk film.
Why?
If we were, I'd be defending the poodle, but that's beside the point. The creature in this movie still holds up today in terms of CGI. He was larger than life, but still kind of proportional, and I bought it. Like when I saw him on the screen, I thought he was really there. I wasn't thinking this is all CGI. You also had Liv Tyler, who you would think would be the weak link, but isn't. Now, how do you replace Jennifer Connelly? You don't, at all. But Liv Tyler's Betty Ross, excuse me.
Not that one.
Not that one. Really surprised me in terms of her ability to, and I guess it's her Lord of the Rings training, probably, or being in one of the best movies ever made, That Thing You Do. See, I'm trying to get you on my side just by movies that you might like. No, I love Betty Ross in this film. She made you believe that she was still in love with this man, even though she was dating the guy from Modern Family. You also had William Hurt doing most of his acting with his mustache. You had Tim Roth, who had that look on his face a lot during this film. The best thing about Tim Roth is that they don't even try to hide how short he is. A lot of times in these movies they try to hide it. No, he is tiny and it just doesn't matter. His Abomination was very good. And this had Samuel Stearns, who would one day become the leader, but we didn't get that because we didn't get a sequel to this film. My favorite part of the movie is this guy. Does everybody know who that is? Okay, he does. Okay, that's Paul Sloan. This is a cameo. Paul Sloan was the voice of the Peter Parker in the 1966 Spider-Man animated series. But he was also the voice of Bruce Banner on the Grant Ray Lawrence Hulk animated series. What? Yeah. So if you're wondering why they gave this guy so much screen time, that was why. In conclusion, The Incredible Hulk is one of the best MCU films ever. I will brook no argument on this. This movie is a forgotten gem. They recast the Hulk in Avengers, and it's nothing against Mark Ruffalo, who I thought was great in Avengers, and I thought he was great in Avengers too. But the Hulk is the one character in the MCU that I felt was treated the worst towards the end of up until Endgame. And it's not really their fault. Universal just won't give up the rights to it. So we can't have a straight-up Hulk movie. But I love this movie. I am throwing it on the mercy of the court, and I'm not as entertaining as these guys because I could not make as much comedy out of this because it doesn't have Manimal in it.
King Manimal?
Yeah, you keep... Hello? Okay, you couldn't think of that. Joe, it's to you.
First of all, I just want to admire the back muscles. Look how yoked that man is. That is... Okay.
You need a minute?
He doesn't have a minute.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Now I'm ready. While some critics who have their thumbs trapped straight up their patoots might say that this movie is not enjoyable, or this movie's not a vital part of the MCU. To those people, I say, get a taste of this Hulk cologne. It's starting to smell pretty good.
It's fermented.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of and to be fair, that cool ass denim jacket. I render the following words: that the Incredible Hulk is not guilty. I'm not positive why someone in the jury pool has their finger raised, because the court is over. And, I would also like to point out to our bailiff in the back that while yes, time for this panel has ended, I would also like to point out that I am the co-director, and it ends when we say it ends.
She's just doing her job.
Also, she is just doing her job, and terrifically, because she's... No, we really... I should stop, but...
We have an 8:30 panel, please do.
Oh, you're right.
Back up so we can strap the screen again.
Guys, we have done so many awesome and fun panels over the course of all these years. I could not think of a finer group of people that I want to do this kind of stuff with for the next bazillion years, you guys included. It sounds like I'm retiring from baseball or something. I'm 100% not. I will be back next year. And so I hope will all of you, and all of you, because we could not do any of this without all of you awesome people. So we will, I mean, we have another day of con, but I am exhausted. But at the same time, I'm also so happy to be here and so happy to that this thing is kept going. And you guys, thank you. Some people have Harry Potter parties to go to. Other people have sleep to go to. On behalf of the American Sci-Fi Classics track and all of you, thank you. Good night.
I'm gonna go to my party.
Oh, you have a good time.
I will. You feeling okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just very tired.
Honey, thanks for letting me. All right. I saw you doing this, and I'm like, oh no.
No. I'm just. It's been a very long day.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I was like, I'll get you some water.
No, I'm good.
You're just exhausted. There's nothing I can do for that.
Well, I appreciate it.
I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
There aren't many movies that you get to see where a police car thing uses boxing gloves.
Yes.
Thank you for sending everything.
Ah.
Dozens of us, dozens. I've always loved this. It's
Awesome.
always sad that there was no sequel, and I'm still mad about it.
You know who else is Tim Blake Nelson, who played Sam Stearns? He's actually upset that they didn't do a sequel because he signed on for like 3 movies.
I was so into him being the leader.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Oh yeah, the tease was there. I was
challenge though. You gotta defend the left track. Go on YouTube for Monster.
Look, some things are
forgot existed.
some things are indefensible,
I saw that at the Dollar Theater.
and you were overcharged.
It was like when I saw Catwoman for free. And with like a ticket that I got in like the DVD box set of the first Batman.
First time you've done this type of panel?
This is the
Like the actual.
third or fourth.
Okay.
But yeah, we do.
Because I
try to do one of
I
these
heard
every
you
year.
guys say you were judging, but I thought it was just like more of a conversing, not actually like a mock.
Oh no, it's a full-on
Okay,
trial.
yeah, that's great. Because you guys are great. Yeah, no, you guys did a really good job. I like it.
We try.
I got a quick question for you.
Yes.
William Hurt, is that the same character who's the senator in the
Secretary of Defense?
Yeah, I mean in the Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's another reason why this is an MCU.
Yeah, because I remember he.
Thunderbolt Ross. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember the character's name, but I remembered he was like in the military.